Okay, who wants to be great? Of course, everybody wants to be great. Everybody wants to be great. The question is, are you really great? Second question is, are you ever going to be great? And I have the answer for you. You're never going to be great. You want to know why you're never going to be great? I'll lay it out to you straight out. Two reasons. Reason number one, mommy. Reason number two, which is probably the most important thing, is that less than 1% of the people are willing to do what it takes to be great, are not willing to do it. Only less than 1% are willing to do it. So yes, you want to be great, but you're not willing to do what it takes to be great. For example, let's say you want to become like Rav Ovadia Yosef. Do you have what it takes? Well, probably yes, but what you're missing is your attitude towards it. You're not willing to do what it takes. Why? Because, are you willing to live in the way he lived, dedicating his life to the amount of that he did to become great like this? Or you want to become a great engineer or great athlete or whatever it is? You're not. Since you're not willing to do it, you will never be. And if you really see who really is great, is less than 1% of the population. Less than 1%. I don't know how many people legally live in the United States. I don't know, over 350 million. If you're going to take let's say less than 1% of the population is actually extremely rich. And it's not because they're privileged, it's because they were willing to do what nobody else was willing to do. If you're going to take the 350 million, let's say, that are legally U.S. citizens and living here, and you take the percentage of people in Tier 1 units, even in Tier 3 units, and put them together, you're not going to get even 1%. And when I'm talking about Tier 1, I'm talking about, the Delta Force, the Navy SEALs, all these people. Look how many people are there. There aren't even 1%. Everybody thinks he's a Delta Force operator. Everybody thinks he's a, DevGro, how do you call them? SEAL Team 6. Thing is, they'll never be. Why? Well, the problem is really rooted way back into your childhood. Where regardless of what you did, mommy always told you you're great. Mommy always told you you're handsome. Mommy always told you you're great. You don't have to do much. Well, maybe daddy had some expectations to you, but never expressed that. So, that added on the fact that you grew up to be a wimp. You didn't have any responsibilities, no expectations, nor ever set any boundaries. And the result is, you look in the mirror, what comes out of you when you look in the mirror. You know what it is to become a doctor? Everybody wants to become a doctor. Everybody complains about doctors making a lot of money. And you know what it takes to become a doctor? Are you willing to give, on average, 12 years out of your life to have no life? No life. And if you think that you're going to become a doctor partying, you're wrong. You're not going to make it. Am I right? Are you willing to finish medical school owing $500,000? Do you have what it takes? And yet, you're right, there are some lousy doctors out there. There's some phenomenal doctors out there, but the phenomenal doctors are, few and far in between. Do you have what it takes to become a pilot? Do you have what it takes to become, let's say, an Air Force pilot or a Navy pilot? You know, everybody thinks they can fly a simulator, but to become a real pilot, you can. You could learn how to fly a plane from a simulator. You could. Because flying an airplane, for example, is a set of very specific giving, procedures. You do this, 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 you do that. Landing is the same thing. There are certain procedures you have to follow, A, B, C, and D. The problem is not in those procedures, those given procedures. The problem is when the unexpected happens. And that's why becoming a pilot is such a difficult thing. They're teaching you how to operate when things are not expected, when things are not stable, when all of a sudden you lose hydraulic power, what to do. Do you know what to do when you lose hydraulic power? When you know what to do when you're flying and you have a vertigo? Have you ever wondered, by the way, why helicopter has two pilots? Because of the concept of vertigo. If one will experience a vertigo while they're flying, the other one will take it, and then they'll rotate and so on and so forth. Again, if you want to become the best, you could change it at any given moment, regardless of what lack of training and lack of boundaries and whatever mommy told you how great and wonderful and smart you are. You could change it at any given moment, but the question is, do you really want to? If not, you're just going to be as mediocre, and when you're mediocre, there's no the top tier mediocre. When you're mediocre, you're mediocre. And I'm telling you, mediocre is really give you a compliment. Most people have nothing to write home about. Nothing. They live their lives with absolutely nothing to write home about. And that's why I try to encourage you to be good at one thing, to take something and dedicate it. Everybody thinks that they can play guitar like Jimi Hendrix. The bottom line is nobody can do a transition between an E to a G chord, like one is here and one is there. They can't do that. Everybody thinks they can. To play the air guitar, everybody is the best. They're like playing faster than I don't know what's his name, Mark Knopfler. Everybody plays Sultan of Swings like, hey, not a problem. Take a guitar, they can't strike two chords one after the other consecutively. Can't do it. You want to do something? Go become great. Go become great. Learning to become great at something will get you a very long way in life, where you actually dedicate yourself into something. The fastest way to become great at something is, broken record, is learning Torah. But do you really want to? Or you can. The danger also with learning Torah is that so many people know so little that if you become very superficial and you just know how to regurgitate things, you're already a step above the average Joe there. But you're not going to become great. In order to become great, you need to throw everything behind and dedicate to it. As they say, 10,000 hours minimum. 10,000 hours you need to dedicate to become good at something. The beginning. Do you have dedicated 10,000 hours to learn Torah? That you dedicated completely, like religiously dedicated? Truth of the matter is not. When you have tests and you have worldly things that you think that, the bottom line is you don't. And that means when you are dedicating 10,000 hours, that's not taking telephone calls and not helping unpacking the car from Costco or anything of that sort. So I'm just giving you a clue here. If you want to become great, make up your decision and be willing to do what less than 1% of the people do. And if you have kids, if you want your kids to really be great, stop telling them they're great. Guide them to how to become great. Don't just tell them. Have a beautiful, great day.